You ever wonder how many ways a game can humble you? Welcome to Path of Exile, where every league mechanic is either a genius idea or a social experiment gone wrong. I've dived through every league, every gimmick, every trust me bro patch note, and now I'm here to roast all 24 of them mercilessly, irrationally, and probably while dying to something off-screen. Grab a flask, mute global chat, and let's roll through the chaos together. Harbinger is like fighting a Pokemon that speaks in dial-up modem noises. You smack it, it disappears, spawns minions, reappears. It's basically peekaboo with cosmic consequences. It drops currency, but in shards, like your loot got run through a paper shredder. Sometimes you collect enough shards to make something good. Sometimes it's just 3/20ths of a chaos orb. Harbinger when you think you're fighting a god, but it turns out to be a broken ATM. Abyss is that mechanic where you chase a crack like it owes you money. It darts across the map faster than your flask cooldown, then drops 5 mobs like a clown car. Sometimes it opens a pit. You go in hoping for treasure, but mostly just fight mobs in a dirt basement. And if you're lucky, you'll get a unique item, with stats so weird even your stash tab doesn't want it. Abyss the mechanic that makes you run cardio for disappointment. So I tried bestiary once. Caged a tiger, a fire snake, and something that looked like Pikachu's evil uncle. Then I opened the crafting altar and it told me I needed 4 more monsters of the same species. What is this? Noah's Ark. And when I finally had enough, the fight started, and my captive deleted me in 3 seconds. Bestiary where you hunt monsters. But the real beast is GGG's crafting UI. Tired of regular maps? Wish you could travel back in time and ruin ancient architecture. Introducing Incursion, the only system that lets you redesign a deadly temple using murder. Kill faster, upgrade rooms, and blame yourself when the temple ends up full of traps and curses. It's like playing SimCity with skeletons and every zoning mistake costs a life. Incursion build now, cry later. I entered the mine with a dream loot, fossils, maybe a little treasure. 10 seconds in, the light ran out, and darkness turned into a horror movie. Every step I took without my crawler felt like hugging a chainsaw. I found fossils, sure, but also found that darkness doesn't just kill you, it bullies you. Delve where greed meets blackout, and sulfite is your only friend. I thought we were friends. We ran maps together. We looted together. Then Jun showed up, and now I'm interrogating Vagan in a torture chamber. I promoted him to captain, and next map he stabbed me in the back with 3 fort members. Betrayal turns your loot grind into a telenovela who's lying, who's dying, and who's just farming intelligence. It's like Among Us, but with actual consequences, and slightly better fashion. Synthesis felt like downloading a cool app, then realizing it's all in ancient Elvish. The memory zones disappear if you blink too hard, and connecting pieces feels like building IKEA furniture blindfolded. The loot sometimes amazing, often confusing, and always several steps more complicated than necessary. People said it had potential. Yeah, so did Google+. Synthesis, the mechanic that made me question my IQ and my stash space. Day 14. I hit a monolith. Statues came alive. I no longer feel safe. 5 factions spawned, each with the energy of a caffeine overdose and the DPS of a meteor. You only have a few seconds to tag what you want to fight, and somehow always tag the stuff that deletes you first. The loot explodes everywhere like pinata shrapnel, but only if you survive the lag spike. Legion where breaking statues breaks your PC and your spirit. I logged into Path of Exile and suddenly I was playing tower defense. Blight gave me 3 seconds to build turrets, pick lanes, choose oils, and question my life choices. The mobs ignore you. Sprint down the lane like it's Black Friday at Walmart. You either build perfectly or get overrun by 400 angry fungus zombies. Blight, when Path of Exile forgets it's an ARPG and becomes Plants vs. Demons. Metamorph lets you build your own boss finally. A chance to craft your doom with love. You choose the organs, you pick the mods, you press start, then you realize you just made a teleporting, poison spitting, one-shotting monster with phase immunity. It's like Build-A-Bear, but the bear has anger issues and no cooldown. Metamorph a heartwarming tale of DIY regret. Delirium starts with a fog. You think, hey, more mobs, more loot. 10 seconds later, you're being chased by 400 monsters on Adderall and can't see your minimap. Your screen becomes a blur of gray, explosions, and regrets. You keep running for more loot until you're dead, surrounded by chaos and 3 mirrors you'll never get. Delirium, the mechanic that turns greed into grayscale. Harvest told me I could grow my own monsters and harvest their souls to craft perfect gear. What I got was a spreadsheet disguised as a garden, and plants that spawned murder beasts every 3 tiles. Crafting was amazing until GGG nerfed it into a nostalgic bedtime story. Now it's like a haunted Stardew Valley where you grow disappointment and fertilize it with regrets. Harvest farm to table suffering? Straight from the roots. Heist makes you feel like a mastermind thief. Until your rogue partner runs face first into a laser trap. You plan the job, unlock the vault, and 5 seconds later it's full siren mode and everyone's screaming. The best part, loot explodes everywhere right before you die, carrying 12 kilos of regret. And don't get me started on grand heists long maps. 5 doors. 0 patience. Heist oceans. 11 if Danny Ocean forgot stealth and brought a marching band. Ritual is a game show where the prize is loot, and the punishment is dying inside a glowing circle. You fight 3 waves of enemies, pick a reward, and then stare at the one item you can't afford. It's like Wheel of Fortune, but the wheel is cursed and only spins toward disappointment. Sometimes you re-roll the shop 5 times just to see the same trash again in different fonts. Ritual where tribute points are fake, and the despair is real. Ultimatum asks, do you want to risk it all for more loot and like every responsible exile? You scream, yes. Then die 2 rounds later to chaos mob soup. Every choice is a trap disguised as opportunity. More damage taken really means you're dead in 5 seconds. You either win big or walk home with a headstone and a regret tab. Ultimatum, the only league where greed signs your death certificate. Expedition lets you play Indiana Jones. If Indy had to plant explosives and negotiate with 4 shady merchants, you blow stuff up, find coins, and then get gaslit by NPCs with weird accents and worse exchange rates. Gwenin sells you hopes and dreams, usually in the form of 5 white helmets and a regret. ROG tells you it'll get better next craft. ROG lies. Expedition archaeology meets RNG meets emotional damage. Scourge is where you dunk your items in demon juice and pray they don't come out cursed. You charge a blood meter, shift into hell, and fight mobs while your gear slowly becomes a horror story. Best case, you get a busted weapon with triple damage mods. Worst case, plus 5% attack speed and cannot gain XP on kill. Scourge because ruining your gear should be interactive. Arch Nemesis gave every rare mob a backstory, a full moveset, and unresolved childhood trauma. You thought you were fighting a yellow crab? Turns out it's a nuke with legs and 3 defensive auras. GGG said it'll make rares more rewarding. What they meant was RIP, Exile. Some mobs drop nothing, others dropped your frame rate, your patience, and your will to live. Arch Nemesis, the mechanic that taught us fear. Sentinel gives you a drone buddy that's supposed to help, but really just buffs enemies into final bosses. You press the button, your screen turns into a laser rave, and suddenly that crab has 6 auras and vengeance. Sure, you get more loot if you survive the mob that just got promoted to raid boss. It's like giving your enemies pre-workout and hoping they drop protein powder. Sentinel when your support bot turns into your executioner. Lake of Calandra lets you build your own loot map like SimCity, but everything's wet and cursed. You pick tiles, plan routes, and enter the lake expecting treasure, then get jumped by 12 rares with GGG's greatest hits. The reflections lie, the loot is bait. The lake is shallow, but your pain is deep. Every tablet feels like a strategy game. Too bad I'm playing whack-a-mole with sledgehammer mobs. Lake of Calandra where you drown in decisions, not rewards. Sanctum turns POE into a roguelike where HP doesn't matter, your feelings do. One misstep and your resolve drops like your Wi-Fi on boss day. The traps stress you out, the boons tempt you, and the coins make you feel poor in 3 currencies. You don't lose because you're weak, you lose because the room layout had beef with your build. Sanctum, the only league where anxiety is a stat. Crucible lets you plant a skill tree into your weapon like some kind of chaos bonsai. You charge it up, pump in XP, and pray it doesn't grow into +2 knockback and 20% IQ. The deeper the tree, the dumber the risk, but you still go in. Because maybe this time, it'll work. Spoiler, it doesn't. Crucible, the mechanic where weapons evolve, and your sanity devolves. Trial of the Ancestors is like Pokemon. If all your Pokemon ignored orders and ran into AoE spells, you draft a team, assign buffs, and watch your guys charge the enemy to heroic death in 0.7 seconds. Sometimes they win. Sometimes they just run in circles like they forgot the objective. The loot's okay, but nothing compensates for watching Rakiata 1v while your whole team naps. Trial where strategy meets betrayal, and the betrayal is coded in AI. Affliction turns POE into a speedrun simulator, where going slow is illegal. You stack 27 auras, sprint through mobs, and explode the screen before the game finishes loading. The Wildwood Pact system. Basically, 3 forest ghosts selling you cocaine tier movement buffs. Miss a pact node, and suddenly you're moving like Windows XP. Affliction where you go fast, die faster, and ask what even killed me on loop. Mercenaries let you hire warriors to help you fight, or at least emotionally support you while dying first. You craft gear just for them, optimize AI behavior, and they still charge into exploding rares like moths to a flame. Sometimes they carry. Sometimes they vanish mid-pack because one had existential dread coded in. And when they work, you get loot. When they don't, you get trauma. Mercenaries when babysitting becomes endgame content. That was every league mechanic in Path of Exile. Some made us laugh, some made us cry, and a few just made us uninstall for the weekend. Got your own trauma story from these leagues? Drop it in the comments. I'm collecting them like harvest crafts. I'm Piyepu, your local loot clown. Thanks for suffering with me. Like, subscribe, and remember GGG giveth and GGG deleteth.